I was a piano major actually at California Institute of the Arts back in the early 70s. And at California Institute of the Arts, there was a family of West Africans named the Ladzekbas that were teaching there, teaching music and dance. And I was trying to concentrate on piano as best I could, but when I heard the African music, I just kind of fell in love with it. So I studied from them for like 3 years, started my own dance ensemble, music ensemble in Los Angeles and then in Northern California. And I was directing that ensemble, which is called Alokli, for about 25 years. Just moved here to Philadelphia 4 years ago, and now we have another Alokli here, and we call it Alokli East, which is a music-only ensemble, but we're just really starting all over again. So I've been teaching this music for about 30 years now. And I don't do it for money. I teach it because I just love the music. And it's, the more I play this music, the more I learn about myself and about the music, and I'm just in love with it. My name is Dan Gorlin, and I'm here for PercussionGeeks.com to do a little bit of a lesson on Ewe music. Ewe music is the music of the Ewe-speaking peoples of Ghana and Togo and Benin in West Africa. The Ewes live in southern Ghana, actually, and there's a lot of different ethnic groups in Ghana and all over West Africa. If you've done a little bit of African music, you know what a djembe is probably. And I'm here to tell you there's a lot of different kinds of music that are very different from what you've heard. But they all have something in common, and maybe I can very briefly give you an idea of what that is. We're going to do a little demonstration in a second to give you a sense of what a whole Ewe ensemble sounds like. But just as an introduction, these are 3 of the drums from the Ewe family. This is called Sogo, this is called Kagang, and this is called Kidi. And there's a much bigger drum, a Chimavu, who's usually the master drummer of this kind of music. But there's bells, there's rattles, and of course there's always dancers and singers. And without any one of those elements, African music just tends to not be there. The way the master drum is played is actually very interesting. It's usually a hand and stick kind of technique. He's actually doing is speaking a language, so he might go oviche, oviche, wari mi wogma, bozo haya haya, haya haya, mio. There are 3 tonalities in there. Oviche, oviche, wari mi wogma, bozo haya haya, haya haya, mio, ateno so misowa, mio, batona so misowa, and so on and so on. So when he's playing music, he's actually usually repeating a kind of a prose or poetry that comes from the traditional experience of the Ewes and the ancestors of the Ewes. And the dancers are usually enacting some piece of that history, depending on the music you play. Let me show you something really cool about African music. There's a bell part that you might have heard before. It goes like this. The same old silly rhythm, the same old silly rhythm. You're going to hear a lot of variations of that particular bell in all different kinds of West African music. What we'll call the 6/8 feel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What could really revolutionize the way you hear West African music is understanding that it's not a 6 at all. It's a 4 feeling. It goes like this. 1, 2, when you hear that kind of 6/8 music, and you'll hear it a lot, and you'll hear it in South American music, you'll hear it all over the world, actually. When you hear that, you have to know 2 things. One is, in the West African sense, everybody in the community is sharing a sense of weight around that music. Whether they look like they're doing it or not, they are sensing this physical weight, which they've been doing since before they were born, really, along with whatever bell pattern is going on, and they're sharing it with each other. It revolutionizes the way that you feel about music, and the way that you feel about this music in particular. And if that sharing, that weight sharing isn't there, there really isn't any music going on from what I can tell. I mean, there's no sense of community, and that's what African music is all about, is bringing the community together. And then the other vitally important thing is to know where that weight is. If you hear something like this, and actually at that tempo, they'll be feeling more like, oh, chiki, We're going to do a little demonstration, bring a couple more people in here, just to give you a little sense of what the whole AOI ensemble sounds like. It's obviously not the whole thing. I'm faking it with these 3 drums. Normally there'd be a separate person on each drum. This is called Joe, actually. It's sort of a traditionally inspired jam session when I try and play 3 drums at once. So let me show you how that sounds. And while we do this, by the way, listen for that 4 feel. See if you can find it and see if you can share it with us. So to give you an idea of what the AOI music sounds like, we obviously can't fit a whole ensemble here in the studio, but we're going to try and put together these 3 drums and the bell called gankogwi. And the bell is always the heartbeat of African music, especially in AOI music, because the bell never changes. And the more you know about the bell, you realize that it provides the structure for everything that's going on polyrhythmically. There are 6s and 4s and 8s and just everything that you need to create this music. It's all built into the bell part. So this guy never gets to change. And Ahacha, the rattle part, she's basically doing a version of the bell, but it's a little more filled out. And you'll hear like 30 rattle players, a couple bell players, and a full ensemble in a traditional setting. So this is what the music sounds like with the Ajo set that we have here. That's kind of the basic idea. Very, very crude. But what you should be hearing in this music, see if you can hear where the weight is actually happening. Gina is very experienced in the AOI music, as well as the Geely stuff, which you'll see in another clip. But you'll hear Gina and I and Tony also trying to share this 4 feel as we go on. You'll be tempted to feel this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That feel is in there. But if that's all you feel, someone's going to come up to you and tell you that you are not meeting the challenges of life. What you need to learn how to do is to take the obstacles of life and turn them into stepping stones. It'll all be taught by philosophy. So the idea is to find the true meaning of life, which is using those building blocks to get you there. We'll play it one more time. See if you can feel that sense. I'll start off right here, showing you where that 4 weight is. And if you just look at our body, you'll see it also. And see if you can find where that is. Did you feel it? That is what it feels like to play AOI music. Everyone in the community is feeling that. Anyone who's not feeling it, people will be looking at them funny. Somehow, even if you're just standing still, you're going to have a sense of how that works. Before you're born, you're in your mother's belly, and she's dancing, and you're feeling where that 4 is, and you're hearing the music. As soon as you're born, you're thrown on your mother's back, and you're tied up in a wrap. And she's dancing, and you're going, and all of your life, you're going to be sharing that with other people. Da, 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 da. So many people learn West African music, and they never understand where that feeling is. And I think the reason is it's just so incredibly obvious to the Africans that teach this music it's hard for them, it's honestly hard for them, I think, to understand that people couldn't feel it that way. That somebody would be coming and going, 2, 3, 4. When you find that feeling, when you feel the weight in your body, and when you're able to share that weight with other people, then you're on the road to understanding African music.